Here's my front lip from Rexpeed that I ordered. I ordered this from JD Customs, and I'll put the link in the description below. JD Customs does drop shipping from Rexpeed. It comes from Taiwan, and I think I placed the order on a Friday, and today is Thursday, and it's here in the US. So it went via DHL shipping and was extremely fast. Really happy with the quick turnaround. I'm gonna go ahead and pop this open, take a look at it, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna finish it today, but gonna get it here on the car here in just a bit. Has some of these Rexpeed stickers, look pretty good. I probably won't put it on the car, but somewhere in the garage. There's a lot of rattling around in this package, and I'm hoping that's just rivets or other accessories. Actually, there's a pop rivet stuck right here, so I'm assuming it is rivets, just not secured anywhere. Hopefully that didn't scratch anything. Hopefully that didn't scratch anything on the lip itself. Yeah, there's just a ton of loose pop rivets in there. That's weird. But the lip itself is protected pretty well. If those pop rivets were moving around, it doesn't look like they got inside. This one's stuck to the tape, but it looks like it probably didn't, hopefully didn't get inside the bubble wrap. I'll go ahead and pull this out. We'll take a look at it. So there was a bag that was taped to the lip, and it looks like it ripped, and that's how all the pop rivets came out. So I think it was supposed to be inside this bag, and unfortunately it just broke out. But again, the way that it was secured, none of these aluminum pop rivets would have scratched anything on the lip. So it looks real good. I'm going to get it out next to the car, see what we got to do to get it on to the front bumper. So here's the lip in front of the car. Before I take off the OEM lip, but the quality of the carbon fiber on this looks fantastic. Has a nice gloss, but it's not too deep. Very even carbon fiber lay, and the finishing coat is perfect. A little tiny scratch here that I can probably polish out. The side skirts that I put on, I actually purchased these used, and there was a few scratches. Actually, I have yet to pull this one out, but there was a few of them that I was able to use wet sanding at 1,000, then 2,000, and then just used a polish to pull it all the way out, and it did a really good job pulling the scratches out. So that's one nice thing about the carbon fiber, is that light scratches are pretty easy to remove. But so here's one more look at the lip on the ground before I go ahead and start to get it installed onto the bumper. Alright, first step is to remove these 4 plastic rivets that pop out. This last one up here. And once you do that, you can remove the fender liner. Ooh, lots of rocks. To reveal the 12 millimeter bolt there to pull out. So I'm going to pull that out, and then I'm going to remove all of these plastic bungs here that have bolts behind them, as well as all the bungs across the bottom here, which have the 12 millimeter bolts behind them. So I'm going to pull all those off and then pull the bolts out. Alright, so popping everything off was pretty easy after figuring out how to get that one, and I said 12 millimeter bolt earlier. This was actually a 10 millimeter bolt. Most of them are 10 millimeter bolts, except for there's 2 12 millimeter bolts. You can see on the reverse side that they go here and here. But otherwise you can see, and I left every bolt exactly where they were pulled out from. But each one of these spaces here represent a bolt that needed to be pulled out. Again, most of them were 10 millimeters, except for 2 that were 12, and that'll be pretty apparent when you're trying to pull it off. You can actually see these hanging parts here were the 2 that required the 12 millimeter bolt. You need an extension on your wrench because these holes were quite recessed. Most of the other ones though were just used the short extension to be able to get it off easily. But again, took very little time to pull all these bolts off. Now it's a matter of drilling. I'm gonna have to pull these rivets out. I'm just gonna drill them out from both sides. And once those rivets are pulled out, I'm gonna re-rivet the new ones onto this lower bracket and then just reassemble everything. Should be pretty simple. Here's all the top pop rivets complete. Everything lined up pretty well. The rivets are good quality, all of them pop correctly. So now I'm going to flip over to the back side and complete the rivets. The reverse side doesn't have holes pre-drilled for the rivets. These holes are to allow the bolts to go through to the bumper. So I have the original lip here, and I'm going to just try to eyeball line up where the rivets went and just drill all the way through. I'm going to try to not hit the exact same spot though, because I don't want to make a hole that's too big on the other side that the rivet doesn't catch to, but get it just generally close enough that it should give it the same structural rigidity that the original pop rivets had. So I just put one rivet in between each one of the holes for the bolts, which was about the same pattern as the OEM one. Here's the bottom rivets complete. You know, in hindsight, the rivets that come with it have a pretty small diameter head. If I were to do it again, I may use a different rivet that has a bigger head like the OEM one did. Here's the OEM ones that popped off, and you can see they're about twice the diameter. It just gives a little better coverage. There's so many of them, I don't think it's going to be a problem, but may just add a little bit of extra safety. Alright, so I got the lip back on. It's actually the next day. I didn't finish it up last night. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with the fitment, but there is one particular problem, and that is if you come to this side, the driver's side, there's a pretty good sized gap right here, and it looks like it's just a quality control issue with how the carbon fiber was laid. You can see that there's about a 1/2 centimeter, 3/4 centimeter gap right here in between. Other than that, the fitment looks really good, and everything went back together really well. A tip for installation: when you are putting it back together, put the two 12 millimeter bolts up first. Those are the ones that are about here and here, about 12 inches back. Once you get those two in, then secure all the stuff on the back and do the bolts, the 10 millimeter bolts along the edge of the lip last. That got everything aligned easiest for me. So I actually took it on and off a couple of times, particularly as I was trying to figure this out. I wasn't sure if this was just how I mounted my snap rivets or something, but when I held it against a straight edge, it was clear that there's a problem with how that form came out. So I'm in contact with John from JD Customs to see what they can do about that. So I'm hoping that they'll just replace it, but I wanted to actually get it on the car so that I'm not without a lip for however many days it takes to get that figured out. But otherwise, pretty happy with how easy it was to get installed. I'd say total time was maybe 2.5 hours, but when I put it on for the second time, once I get the replaced lip, it should be a lot quicker than that. And the way that it lines up, particularly with the Rexpeed side skirts, it all looks very clean. So thanks for watching, and more videos on this car to come.